Emotions running high still in Uvalde, Texas. After a tense school board meeting last night, parents are demanding answers after the release of a scathing new report calling the shooting response at Robb Elementary School a systemic failure. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock joins us live from Uvalde. Sam, good morning. What are the families saying today?
Well, Mika, good morning. Look, this system was structured in such a way, the meeting was, so that parents could vent their frustrations and their feelings for about 45 minutes. It lasted more than 3 hours with young kids asking the grown-ups, Mika, what are you doing right now to make sure that my classmates and friends aren't dying in classrooms? The Texas State Police has launched its own investigation as criticism right now is mounting.
It took virtually no time for things to escalate at this school board meeting.
Y'all do not give a damn about our children or us.
The calls to fire School Police Chief Pete Arredondo outdone only by parents wondering how law enforcement responding on May 24th still had a badge or a community's trust after waiting in the hallways for more than an hour before taking out the gunman. Rachel Martinez has 4 kids on 4 different campuses in Uvalde.
Do you feel comfortable sending a single one of your children to school?
One of my daughters actually comes to tears thinking about having to go to school.
The most common concerns families voiced at the meeting: doors that don't lock and officers that don't act. Students weighing in, including incoming senior Jasmine Casadis, whose sister Jackie was killed.
What are you going to do to make sure I don't have to wait 77 minutes bleeding out on my classroom floor, just like my little sister did?
And poignant testimony from 10-year-old Maylee Taylor.
This was the last dress that all my friends saw me on. Most of those kids were my friends, and that's not good.
Her mother grilling a school board member over what he would have done in the crisis.
Come on, you're a vet. What would you done? Answer.
I don't have an answer for you.
You don't have an answer.
The crowd then attacking him for not answering the question.
I am not a coward. I am a combat veteran of Vietnam. I served 26 years in the Navy, and I served in Desert Storm.
And what about the children calling 911 from inside the classroom?
Well, the victim's child called 911.
Heard on this police body cam video, time-stamped somewhere around a half hour into the response. The response characterized as egregiously poor decision-making by the committee, moving grieving families to shine light in a dark hour. Vincent Salazar's granddaughter, Layla, died in the massacre.
Voices will be heard, and change will be made.
And throughout the meeting, you could hear chants, "Fire him," referring to Pete Arredondo. The school board says it's going to be taking a closed-door meeting where it's factoring in this recent report before making a decision about Arredondo's future. Mika and Joe, back to you.
NBC's Sam Brock. Thank you very much.
I mean, it's heartbreaking, Mika. And again, the ineptitude of Texas officials have just, from day one, have been inept. And even at the school board, you're at a school board with parents. Why can't you just say, I hear you, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, they start fighting back?
Yeah, their children have been killed and gunned down, and you're talking about your record in the military? Well,
that was painful.
Obviously, that didn't save any lives that day. And now, all this time later, they still don't have answers about what they would do that day. It's pretty simple what you would do that day. You would go in. I mean, that's the crazy thing, Jonathan Lemire. We have known since Columbine. There is a rule. It is cut and dry. You don't sit and wait. You don't let the shooter go in and try to talk them out. If there's an active shooter, you go in after the active shooter. And just to be blunt, if there are people in the hallway that are bleeding, you step over them, you run to the active shooter, you take the active shooter down first. Everything else is secondary after that. We've had that knowledge for over 20 years, police officers. And these images, I've got to say, it's hard to be shocked by anything anymore, but I'm shocked by that. I'm also shocked by the ineptitude and the callousness of elected officials in the state of Texas.
Yeah, I believe we had former NYPD Commissioner William Bratton on this show the day after the shooting, and he detailed just what you said, that certainly Columbine had never happened before, and there was no blueprint, and the officers' inability to take down the shooters right away, forgiven. They didn't know what to expect. But since that day, there has been a playbook. It's depressing that one has to exist, but there is a playbook when it comes to active shooters, including active school shooters. And those Texas officers, despite having trained just a few weeks prior on what to do if there is a mass shooting, did none of it. They stood there in the hallway. And the drip, drip, drip of the revelations from this investigation are just so shocking and infuriating for us. And of course, so heartbreaking for those parents. And we certainly saw some of that frustration spill out into the open again last night, as it is just, it's excruciating to think about the number of mistakes made that day. And if a few different decisions had been made, a lot more lives could have been saved.